This is a cockroach in my house. No, wait, this is a mud crab. 6 months ago, I bought 50 of them. They were so small, so impossibly tiny, that my friends genuinely thought I had bought a batch of cockroaches. My mission? To raise all 50 of them in this single 1-meter tank and document their journey from insects to monsters. It was supposed to be a peaceful ecosystem, a perfect simulation of nature. Instead, it turned into a war zone. This project became a dark story of survival, cannibalism, and a mystery with a hidden killer lurking just beneath the sand. And by the end, I would be responsible for its final, toxic destruction. It didn't start that way. When they first arrived, they were barely bigger than a grain of rice. 50 crabs in a 1-meter tank. Looked like an empty tank. The camera could barely even focus on them, but they adapted fast. By day 2, they were everywhere. They were cute. They started claiming territory, digging little homes in the rocks and acting like they owned the place. They were surprisingly friendly, or so I thought. I gave them a feast, tiny sea snails which they loved. I believed that if I kept them well fed, fat and happy, they would live in harmony. They grew rapidly. After just a few days, they started molting, shedding their old shells and getting visibly bigger each time. Everything was perfect. Then, at the 1-month mark, I found my first victim. It was a brutal sight. He must have been attacked by his own kind during a molt. The one moment his body was soft and completely vulnerable, he was destroyed. Only 3 legs and 1 swimming paddle remained on his body. I refused to let him die. I named him Achiang, the strong one. I immediately isolated him in his own private tank, a hospital ward where he could recover in peace. I served him the best food, hoping for a miracle. And it happened. After a few weeks, Achiang molted, and just like that, every single missing claw and leg grew back. It was incredible. He was the comeback kid. I decided to keep him separate, safe from the others. He had his own room, all the food he could eat, life was good. But my victory was short-lived. I came in one morning and found him motionless. The water pump in his tank, his life support, it had stopped. He was gone. I had saved him from his brothers only to fail him with a simple equipment error. It was a crushing blow, and it was a dark omen for what was happening back in the main tank. Back in the perfect ecosystem, things were getting quiet. Too quiet. I was feeding them a gourmet diet. Oysters, mussels, octopus, even lobster. They should have been thriving, but when I dropped in food, fewer and fewer crabs would appear. At first, I thought they were just hiding. I was wrong. At the 3-month mark, I decided to do a full inventory. I tore the tank apart. From an army of 50, I found only 18. More than half were gone, vanished. But I found something else. This guy. He was a monster. His shell was already 6 centimeters wide, 3 times bigger than his surviving siblings. He was the big boss. I didn't understand how he grew so fast. It was an anomaly. I put the 18 survivors back in and rebuilt their homes, deeply unsettled. But the feeling that something was wrong wouldn't go away. Weeks passed. I saw almost no one. 1, maybe 2 crabs at feeding time. Then one morning, I found this. A fresh set of claws, a dismembered body. I knew. The killer was still in there. I tore the tank apart again. I scooped and I searched, dreading what I would find. And this time, from 18, I found only 2. Under the rocks, I found the evidence. A graveyard of empty shells. I finally understood. There was only one explanation. Big Boss. He was the one. I realized I almost never saw him. He hid all day. I fed them during the day and he never came out. His siblings would forage, then go home to sleep. Big Boss, he was sharpening his weapons. At night, when the tank was dark, he would go from den to den. He wasn't foraging for the food I gave him, he was hunting his brothers. He was a cannibal. He ate his way to the top, and that's why he grew so huge so fast. He was the king, the lone survivor of a self-made battle royale. This whole time I wasn't running a crab tank, I was running a gladiator arena. It was horrifying. I rescued the other survivor, the only one he hadn't found yet, and gave it a new, safe home. The tank now belonged to Big Boss alone. What's done was done. I couldn't bring the others back. My new mission was to see just how big this king could get. He had an entire kingdom to himself, but he would never get the chance. To keep his food fresh, I store it in 2 ways: frozen or alive in the filtration sump. The frozen food clouds the water, so I preferred using live food. I made a mistake. A fatal one. I bought a batch of fresh clams, and the leftovers, I put them in Big Boss's sump tank. The next morning, I woke up to this. The entire tank was milky white and smelled like death. The clams had died overnight. They rotted, releasing a massive toxic ammonia spike that poisoned the entire system. After surviving 48 of his siblings, after conquering his entire world, Big Boss was killed. Not by another crab, but by a handful of bad clams. By me. My plan to raise 50 crabs was a total catastrophic failure. So after 6 months, who survived? 1. This is Blackskin. He's the only one left. The only reason he's alive is that I separated him months ago, just because I thought his unique dark color was beautiful. That one simple decision saved him from the battle royale. It saved him from his cannibal brother, and it saved him from my final fatal mistake with the clams. He's the sole survivor, and I will make sure he grows up happy and safe, alone.